afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, Hero of Reich, and Defender of the Fatherland. Off here to a 1 vs 1 on Arnhem Checkpoint. Also, brief apology about Sunday's episode. YouTube just kept having issues sort of rendering it properly, so it rather ended up going up like midnight. So my apologies there, Go not beyond my control, but still. That's rather what happened for those wondering why Sunday's episode wasn't there when it was supposed to. YouTube. So anyways, we're off here with, in the south we got Luvnest fighting here for the Wehrmacht. Deutschland. And the Panzer Panzerdivision versus in the north we got here Paul fighting for America. Freedom, liberty. And the 1st Infantry Division holding the line as the Panzer clashes forwards with MD-42's Grenadiers here versus Riflemen. We've got here Mechanized Assault and Mobile Defense and German Mechanized versus Heavy Cavalry, Armor Company and Tactical Support. They're opening up for Pershings, M10s, Bulldozer Shermans and some Calliopes. But while going up around the fountain, can't have those Americans stealing our precious Wasser. Ja, Dieter. It's not like they can walk around, but why? Scheiße. Meanwhile, going for the western point here with the map so far, not going straight for the centre as Luvnest sort of focus, just grabbing that. MD-42 moving a bit aggressively. Bit risky positioning here, particularly considering he's got nothing spotting for it, but Luvnest's got some pretty confident handling those MD-42, so obviously less to worry about there. There you go, wrongly caught here by the MD-42 under fire. Pioneers can try and flank and deal with them. MD-42 by the way versus unit him cover out in the open. That could end up a bit poorly there for Luvnest. But there you go, Rockets press Grenadiers flanking in. They're using the truck there for cover. Pioneers hang about, they're basically blocking around the house there. And Paul will there have to fall back with his rifle before they get utterly annihilated. There you go, Pioneers popping in from the Riflemen. MP-40s firing out of the windows. The Riflemen quickly falling back there under fire from the Krauts. Interesting so far, Luvnest just focused there in sort of the centre. A bit disrupting Paul's opening, but not really grabbing territory himself. So in that sense, Paul, if he plays it correctly, sort of just decides to play around the rest of the centre here, he could actually gain a lot of resources that way against Luvnest. We of course have to see a Luvnest shifting over here towards the building here. Not the best coverage there for a southern player attacking northward, since there's basically this blocking the way. I mean, if he can remove it, which would require, I think, a heavy tank or a lot of explosives, I mean, he couldn't theoretically up the northern sort of line of fire, but the problem is he just sort of has a bit of a blind spot there. So if Paul, for example, was to research grenades, he could clear out the house there pretty easily. That's of course a slight comment there, but now we got pushed towards these as well, some Pioneers there. Paul falling back in the face of Luvnest. Pretty aggressive Wehrmacht play there. 3 Grenadiers with 1 MD-42. Using the MD-42 aggressively as well, and that I think is rather vital as a Wehrmacht. You have to sort of use the MD-42 aggressively, preferably working with other units, otherwise you can risk getting out of maneuver and deal with it, but using it aggressively in conjunction with the infantry, that way creating a sort of a nice combined arms force there of support weaponry and infantry. Rifle moving in there, attacking from the north. Grenadiers hiding here, basically waiting for someone to appear, sort of just briefly popping in and out. Now the engagement here, Grenadiers versus Rearslines M1 carbines versus Kar-98K is a bit of a difference than caliber, since the carbine fired a 5.56 versus the German Kar-98K fired, I think, 7.92. So a lot more kick than the Kar-98K, to put it mildly. Rather than holding hit by the MD-42, Grenadiers falling a bit back. Rifling back in the north, we got reached there, flanking the MD-42 in this case, a bit too slow though for Paul for it to really succeed, and ultimately there we go, just turns about. Harassment here in the eastern side of the map. I mean, if Paul were just to launch one particular assault in one part of the map right now, he could actually do a lot of damage to Luvnest, and Luvnest is actually heavily overextended. He's got units here, here, and here, but they're not really concentrated in one place. So if Paul was just to make sort of concentrate assault there, he could do a lot of damage. But so far, he's also spreading out himself. Perhaps not quite clear as to the full extent there of Luvnest's current force disposition. Though he's sort of harassing in there, trying to cut off territory. So obviously he's got some idea of what's going on, perhaps. But you got a Lieutenant there on the way, could fill up with an M20 or the AA half-track. Luvnest has himself tagged up, was not quite there to use it. And we've got Armor Company there. Assault units with flamethrowers could be useful here. Quickly assault here and there and push out some of Luvnest's forces. Riflemen setting out. Houston setting down.
Reporting in for duty.
And there we go, the lieutenant arrives to lead the way for America. Nothing down there for Luvnest. There we go, like to make a nice company, although rapidly going up. Paul doing his best to harass and cut off territories out to get up some more firepower to deal with Luvnest. And Luvnest just basically sort of trying to maintain as much territory as possible, really just playing it as aggressive as he can as to their much. And there you go, Rifle caught back there. They were able to render the point neutral, but they did suffer quite a bit there without doing a lot of damage there to Luvnest. So that's been rather sort of the defining feature here. He hasn't been able to really do some serious damage there to Luvnest in any of his engagements. He hasn't been able to force a unit to retreat. It's rather been Paul that's been doing most of the retreating if he has been harassing. They're going before two corner bit of bad spot. We got M20 following up here. That could definitely cause some damage, though we do have the light to make a nice company up here for Luvnest as well. Could go for 2-2, most likely will go for the 2-2, particularly once he sees the lieutenant. He will probably think, alright, my opponent's going to go for the armored car himself, and he will try and hit me with that. Paul not going for any assault engineers. I mean, that could provide a bit of punch there. Of course, we could also go for some 50 calibers now. Panzergrenadier and 2-2 on the way there, so Luvnest is quick to sort of strike back with some heavier firepower there versus Paul and the 1st Infantry. Rather than halted by the Grenadier. Making good use of cover, specifically heavy cover. Finally got a bit more focus here from Paul in the centre, but in this case being holded here by the MD-42 with incendiary armour piercing rounds here. Really applying some heavy pressure. We got the M20 setting up there, striking against the Grenadiers. Also noting, for those wondering why the vehicles look like that, there's actually an option to disable the decals in the options menu now. Under graphics, right at the bottom, you can click right there and turn it off, and that way so you just get the skins there, which rather looks better, in particular some of the newer Wehrmacht skins, which look really great. It's a little fun fact there. Rather than Grenadiers, in this case, quick loose out to the M1 Garands, who do have the advantage medium to short range, particularly out in the open.
Supply line just got cut off.
M20 though has suffered a bit there to Panzerfaust. We've got the 2-2 setting in as well. We've got people there popping up as we were flying. But sadly, I fear the M20 will not be able to make it out there. It's a bit of a rough start here for Paul. There we go, down to half health. Lieutenant Rifleman sending out no weapon max there for Paul. We'll go for a half track, I suppose. So far, no sign of nothing. We got an ambulance there for him. We got lots of Panzergrenadier here arriving for Luvnest. A lot of heavy infantry. First a Panzerlehr. This is Sturmgewehrs. A bit of an anti-tank team there, floating a bit of manpower constantly. But at the same time keeping up pressure around the fuel points, just trying to at least ensure that Luvnest doesn't get so much there. But now we also got a much stronger push here in the west, lots more troops sort of working together now, sort of overwhelm Luvnest where he is and sort of try to begin punishing the NFT, just spreading out his forces so absolutely thinly. I think he was fighting on the eastern front, where he's trying to steal territory. Well, it wasn't exactly uncommon for just very small units having to defend a very large amount of territory.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
There you go, gun inside the house, but Lieutenant outside the door there, firing through it. Come on, guys, it's just a door. And there you go, gun is pushing forward, field crew following up here. MD mines going down in the centre, and we are looking at Telemites making a vehicle assault there in the centre. Pretty difficult. 2-2 there, taking hits from the Bazooka, Lieutenant flying in a bit as well. MD-42 in a northern position. Fuel point has been cut off, Panzergun's going to be still on the hunt. Nothing further from Paul, though he's getting a 50 caliber now, vehicle falling back. No sign of weapon max. Again, a few bazookas I think would do well for Paul to help deal with that 2-2 at the moment. Panzer going to flying where they're wrapping up. No versus the short rifles, not a good situation. We've got the Lieutenant falling back as well here. Things quickly starting to get sour there for Paul once more. The 2-2 is certainly making it easier for Love to sort of control the map in sort of more aggressive, fluid fashion, since it can quickly rush between the different infantry units and provide support there. But there you go, 50 caliber running there for Paul. Vehicle crew push back, their 2-2 also setting in. A lot of firepower there, hot on the heels of the Americans.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
And we got flamethrowers and the Pioneers as well. Paul has gone for nothing further here, no sign of weapon racks. Again, a few extra bazookas would do a lot there versus vehicles and future armor there from Luvnest.
A capture point is under attack.
At least he's beginning to focus a bit more, again realising how Luvnest has dispositioned his forces. But there you go, MD-42 covering the point there. making things a bit more difficult. Major push down the west again, but not without any bazookas to support it.
We're losing a capture point.
Certainly though, Luvnest is doing quite a good job here, surprisingly good job there, considering he just controlling the map there with the Wehrmacht. Paul going for a second 50 cal there, further control the battlefield against German infantry. Panzergrenadier getting absolutely swarmed there by rifle, and they can do some damage, but ultimately there's just too many there. Grenadier suppressed here by the 50 cal machine gun. There we go, Paul getting a bit more sort of punch back. At the same time fighting here, rifle and vehicle crew. Panzergrenadier hiding behind the fence, so they sort of jump out and shoot down to bits anyone who lives in front of the entrance. There you go. Second 50 cal arriving, so Paul now really got some momentum going there in the west and eastern side. There he's just trying his best to keep Luvnest there from operating too freely. Rather than a bit than light car, Panzer goes out in the open, should have the advantage there. But ultimately Paul decides he does not and decides to pull back. Continue pressure. He actually pulls back, but some unit remains at 50 caliber here to defend. Doesn't go for the munitions, instead moves further towards the centre to pressure Luvnest there. Keep up the aggression. No sign of doctrine there for Luvnest, by the way, and no sign of any sort of doctrine usage from Paul. Again, no assaulting this with, say, flamethrowers, which could make it a bit harder for him to use his MG42s in buildings overall. Troops push back to that, F-50 cal moving up. And troops are reinforcing, still no sign of weapon right there for Paul. He really would benefit from BARs and bazookas, I think. Pack 40 in the centre. No sign of take up there for Luvnest. He's been rather focusing just sort of dominating around the tier 2 phase. And again, he's having some luck there again. We are seeing Paul getting his effort together now, applying a lot more pressure there to Luvnest there again before to a bit bad position. Panzer goes pushed back, 50 caliber rocket taken from the north. Now seeing a much stronger effort there. We got the 2-2 in front here, but the 50 caliber needs to be kept in mind. Occupied with some grenadiers in the south. Vehicle crew or something else until we get 2-2 there, rifle moving 50 caliber there we go in before sitting up. But at the same time, low on health. 50 caliber pushed up, rough going up with an anti-tank vehicle grenade, by the looks of it. Gonna try and catch it with that, and there we go. Damaged engine vehicle. Right in front of the MD42, bit unfortunate to there, but at the same time, 50 caliber gunning down the MD42 crew. Good fun, see the 2-2 going down. That's going to give Paul a lot more freedom of movement, which the 2-2 in the early game can sort of deny to any American player unless you sort of counter it. And the problem is Paul didn't quite have any luck there. And there you go, 2-2-2 down. Panzer's going to do so, doing what they can to stall the further advance there. And with heavy cover there, assault rifles and rifles, they basically stop the rifle in there cold. 50 cover there takes a nasty hit. Paul is making slight progress, but still it's not a lot there. And we've got the capture on the way. They're realising again he can't really go towards, you know, the final tier and get out some armour. He's probably realising he's going to have to prepare for vehicles and more armour. The other way basically goes for the captain, accepting that any momentum has been lost. Sort of go up for some anti-tanks, so that way counter what's come next from Luvnest, which will probably be tanks of one kind or the other. But Luvnest, interesting enough, has not tagged up, despite again having a sizable advantage. I think that could have allowed it already by now. But there we go, finally, 30-minute mark, second battle phase on the way. Grenadiers there versus Rifleman Lieutenant moving up, Rifleman Captain moving in, vehicle crew with the bazooka as well, healing up. We're probably seeing an anti-tank and next year for Paul or a pack howitzer. Could in theory go for the Stuart light tank, but I think that would be a bit overconfident. MD42 setting up the church, pretty dominant position there towards the western assault. At the same time, harassment east, good work, trying to sort of hit the centre, pinning down troops there, while at the same time thinking smaller, less combat useful troops just grab territory for the pioneers out in the open. Panzerman is moving in, Rifleman with the cans well. None of the 50 calibers are quite set up to really help the assault here. The other one, for example, been around here, could actually lock down a large chunk of the Luvnest western counterattack. Instead, though, Panzerman is leaning forward there under Feldwebel Werner. Losses there, a large caliber. And there we go, weapon racks finally going up for Paul. I do feel that's been a bit late there. But now he has to capture a few BRs. I think this step would overall work better to give his men more firepower versus Luvnest infantry, who has yet to build up support corps. So that will probably be soon. And there you go, 50 Cup, got to stop the Grenadiers as they advance through the orchard. Heavy rounds piercing through their soft, non-armoured bodies. Troops enforcing, and there you go, weapon max unlocked. Massive assault here, Panzer's caught negative cover, and the Feldwebel, the good Feldwebel, drops dead alongside another member.
capture point
No
is under
weapons
attack.
actually being grabbed there, though. He should could at least grab some double BARs, maybe the extra super there in the vehicle crew from them, anti-tank team. And he said caught.
We're losing a capture point.
There you go, corner pretty bad position, though he is quick to retreat here, Mr. Luvnest. And there you go, Sapomako going up there for the Wehrmacht, for the Panzerlehr. Also, a fun fact about the Panzerlehr, it actually briefly, before it was set up normally, actually took part in training in Hungary and actually took part then reminding the Hungarians on which side they were on when there were a chance they might actually defect over to the Allies. So a little fun fact there, little fun fact. The Germans weren't quite keen on the Hungarians taking the same route on the Romanians. Then he said hold about 50 caliber rifle grenade off though. Still, they're not going to advance much further there. Pops up the 50 caliber, so that might just work out there for Luvnest plus Flamethrower Pioneers. They're leading assault. Hasn't quite gained the centre. I think overall Paul's been too focused on the centre to try and grab more of the sides as well here. And he's caught, and there go getting gunned down. Lieutenant, Captain, Rifleman, light machine gun there firing into the advancing Americans, but just not enough firepower. And there we go, we got a Panzer out here for Luvnest, Panzerkampfwagen 4. And there we go, Pioneers caught in a pretty lobby situation there. Advancing their grabbing territory here and there for America. There you go, Panzer forming up. He's only got the captain nearby to base to hold the Panzer for now. Anti-tank guns. And there you go, a few rockets flying but not quite connecting. Panzer was doing quite good there. Veteran D2, we got Vulture up, we got the 50 caliber there as well nearby. Getting a little bit back there, and we got an M10 out here, so that's basically the first he's using of the Doctrine. That's the M10 tank destroyer. There's been no signs here again of assault engineers. Of course, he couldn't upgrade his vehicle crew there with the assault machine guns. In theory, what he could do is actually switch out the M10 crew with the vehicle crew bazooka and then form them up as an anti-tank, well, anti-infantry unit. Which wouldn't be too bad, but he's picked up there rushing in his M10. It's a tank destroyer, not a tank. There you go. Rushes ahead. Tries to cross, but instead comes on the front of the pack forward, and the Panther 4 might risk a Panther 4. Nope. Pinned down. Can't.
Capture point is being
Damn
overrun.
close. That could easily gone ugly there for Paul. But it's time here for the mid-game analysis. In terms of damage, Luvnest to hit kill-wise is also hit. And again, that's been rather due to, again, the initial moments of the game there. Luvnest was able to really grab the initiative. Paul, I think, was flustered. I'm not entirely sure what to do with all this and basically struggle a bit there, suffering more losses. So that was some really good, solid early game play there from Luvnest, really catching Paul off guard. But now again, we are seeing in terms of map control, Paul is pushing back. Again, he realised, oh wait, I'm kind of reacting to this the wrong way. I'm reacting now better. And of course, he's beginning to push back Luvnest. Of course, Luvnest has been able to bring out armour faster. But again, thanks to his early choice of tank destroyer, he was able to quickly bring up a tank destroyer again. Well, tank armour company to bring up something to help counter it. Army value-wise, they've actually been surprisingly close to each other. It's not like it's been too bad there. And resource float-wise, again, Luvnest been rather floating more, which might also allow Paul there a bit more time to get back. And in point cell again, initially much more dominant. We can see slowly he's getting more into the game. And again, we can see Paul getting to grips of what he needs to do and turning the battle around there. Though, of course, he's far from in the clear there. Far from it, though. He's now beginning to upgrade his men with BARs. Other bits, that is good. Though with the Panther 4 up, maybe another set of bazookas in some unit, perhaps the re-echelons, I think would serve Paul quite well. And of course, he's going to need another one, I think, to really have a good chance of dominating versus Luvnest armour. After that is done, I would also perhaps suggest other pack house, at least an anti-tank and just something extra there, just to make entirely sure there's any armour, because also in particular, Luvnest hasn't chosen Doctrine. He doesn't know, but we know. And certainly he's got a few options, including Tigers still available to him, command tanks and other bits. There's certainly a few worries there for Paul still, which is also worth keeping in mind. But overall, more pressure on the flanks is good here for Paul, and he wants to try and flank about there and hit some units, in particular catch the pack forward in a flank assault and turn them against Luvnest. That work out pretty well there, so that's a priority target alongside the pack 40 pillars. Keep up the pressure on the flanks. I mean, Luvnest's strategy to some extent just focused on establishing a strong point in the centre, and so far Paul again has somewhat planes, and that's generally not what you want to do. You want to play around it, you want to force your opponent to react to your moves. If you react to your opponent's moves, the Americans, you generally tend to perform not frightfully well. So that's a little fault there. Oh, let's get the M10 fixed up, and again, as soon as possible get up some HVAC rounds as well, since they do increase penetration, which overall does help quite nicely. Also accuracy, actually, meaning it's overall just better sort of on the move. For Luvnest, overall, good situation again, good control of the map, good pressure. Though again, he has lost ground there because again he had spread out thinly. It only worked as long as Paul reacted himself by only spreading out thinly. Now again, he's been focusing more, making breaker attacks, but also hitting some of the sides here again. And we are seeing that Luvnest is beginning to lose ground. He does have the Panzer IV, but Paul does have sort of bazookas. He does have an M tank destroyer, so it's not going to be able to operate as freely there as he could have had he say brushed out the Panzer IV a bit more. Though again, with Panzer Grenadiers, upgraded Grenadiers, he does present a lot of firepower there versus Paul's infantry, so it's not too bad there. What Luvnest probably wants to do is focus a bit more himself on the right side. He needs to consult the sides as well. A big push, I think, sort of going through here, moving up here, and then sort of swinging behind everything, then perhaps catching Paul that way would be good. Spearheaded by the Panzer Grenadiers, I think that would work out quite nicely. Otherwise, more armor would be good, more Panzer IVs, perhaps supported by some Stugs for increased firepower versus those M10s. Beyond that, not so much else to comment on, so let's return to the fight here. Double 50 carbs, there we go, M10 being fixed up, the Wolverine, though no one quite knows why it was called the Wolverine, since neither the Americans, the Brits, or the Canadians called it that. So that's a fun one. 50 carb there, oh! Damn lucky there for Paul, that Panzer IV did not put it out of its misery. We got Paul here really recuperating, regrouping, healing, reinforcing, men being slightly more upgraded. Again, would benefit, I think, for grabbing some extra bazookas.
Our supply line just got cut off.
Lieutenant blitzing westwards there with his VET-23 sprint. And someone was surfacing. We actually got another pack forward there for Luvnest. He's clearly worried about the M10s and more of them coming, and basically wants something that A, can't be shot to bits by them, because the M10s can easily overwhelm medium armor, since they can get a lot of numbers but also have a high rate of fire with good penetration. So basically sort of trying to ensure himself against that with more anti-tank guns, which the M10s can't easily deal with. Right here though, Paul I think is getting a bit blobby. In fact, two blobby grenades up and a heavy loss. We've got the infiltrator open up until it's not good. M10 moves in there against the Panzer IV. Needs to cover the backpack 40. Right in front of it. Gets past it. Panzer IV down to half health, so then before two fires there. Rifleman head could get the pack 40. Need to keep the men moving. Need to keep them moving too close to each other. M10 goes down. There we go. Second pack 40 saves the day. Might lose this one though. I think he was a bit too caught up in other things. They're allowing his men to get suppressed. Trying to get that Panzer IV. Instead might get the pack 40s at least. But no, ignores them. Oh dear. I think that was definitely a missed opportunity there by Paul. Could actually have gotten that pack 40. That would really, I think, have been a huge loss to Luvnest. Plus we're giving him more anti-tank weapons. So right there, I think Paul made a mistake there. Had he been able to get that pack 40, he might actually be able to get the Panzer IV. Or at least force it more cautious. So that didn't quite work out there for Paul to hold it up, to lobby. And then a few mistakes there on top of that. So that rather ended up being in Luvnest's favour. It was close. Second M10 Wolverine there arriving. Fun fact, the British referred to it as the Achilles, including the up gun bearing they had, which actually used a 17-pounder gun. Fun fact. There you go, though. 50 cover caught here by the Grenadiers, getting gunned down. Caught in pretty bad position. There we go, realises it, then pulls back. 50 cap here versus Grenadiers up close. Oh dear. You again shot in the crutch with a 50 caliber. That is fatal. Mein Gott, mein Wiener! It's no more! I have no reason to live in this earth. The Panzer IV there being fixed up. Very close to it already. Also, no, he's got spotting scope for it. He actually went for mechanized. Interesting. The thing with spotting scopes, they don't really work on the move. So, I mean, for the Panzer IV, I mean, it can work, but it just strikes me as a bit peculiar. You'd probably been better off, say, I don't know, mechanized assault, maybe going for a Tiger. But oh well. Either way, he's gone for mechanized now. Of course, might be playing for a command tank. M10 moves up there. Panzer Grenadiers will definitely want to get away there before they become roadkill. Another assault into the centre again. Advancing up his troops. They've got some troops up here in the west, but no 50 carb support though. Panzer was there. Oh, we got on me. Allowing them to sprint past, of course, breaking their suppression. There you go, making use of this completely overwhelming Luvnest force in the centre. eventually the field MD42, but almost getting wiped there. Panzer Grenadiers. Oh god, the MD42, notable loss there for Luvnest. Panzer Grenadiers managed to survive it and kill a few quite there, of course, as well. They were just shooting all the MD42, ignoring the Panzer Grenadier. Again, trying to go straight for the Panzer IV again, not caring what may come. And again, almost getting it, but I fear. Oh, missed! Oh, you idiot. And there you go, turning the frontal arm ahead there against the infantry. Panzer IV pulls back. Every shot there fails to penetrate. That was damn lucky there for Luvnest. Damn lucky. But still, that was also, I think, a bit of a reckless result there for Paul. But still, he's managed to now finally wrest control of the centre there from Luvnest. Though it has taken him quite a few assaults there, many casualties. But the 1st Infantry has finally taken the town centre. Good job, man. Yeah. Rather than holding up there, Lieutenant of the Dean with some... looks like someone stole themselves an MD42 there. That's actually bad news for Luvnest infantry. Though it does help if they get into light cover. Problem is right now for Paul, he doesn't actually have the forces to hold the centre. He needs to pull back. Oh dear, they're going to get wiped. Well, he is going to get wiped. Oh no. Oh, so close. Double 50 Cub setting up there just a bit too slow. They have to support and hold the centre there from the crouch, but still, Paul is in control somehow and somewhat. The problem is that still, Luvnest has got plenty of veteran infantry. Of course, he's got a veteran T2 Panzer IV with another one on the way. Obviously, again, the M10 is cheap, so in theory, I mean, Paul can easily throw in another one soon enough, and he's still got bazookas, but he's not bringing up more bazookas. In fact, he's got plenty of munitions to, create some more bazooka teams, even use the vehicle crew to form another one. Oh, he actually has. Good. Failed to penetrate the front arm of the Panzer IV there. Pioneers bring up the Fleming there first. Finding in the eastern side, Rearstand's getting absolutely gunned down in a matter of moments. Vehicle crew falling back with no cover out in the open. Bit doomed there as the Panzers. Another M10 and a third one there for Paul. Second Panzer IV arriving for Luvnest. Got the capture in sight there. And the rear echelons forgotten in the eastern fields were wiped out there by Luvnest Truppen. M10 moves ahead. Pioneers push back. Right one here. More bazookas, M10 moving in. Need to be careful with back 40. There we go, penetrating here there on the Panzer IV. The M10 is basically a tank destroyer based on the Sherman chassis with a 3-inch gun. In fact, they have briefly considered throwing on the 3-inch gun from the Sherman itself. The problem is, they didn't quite have the turret for it. It was simply too big, the gun. So, they about, I think, gained the M10 to a certain extent there to help with that. Fun fact. Grenadiers moving up, there's a rifleman. Panzer IV saying about. Shot fired, missed. Captain needs to fall back. Good hit there, and weak artillery down from Paul here to break up the central assault. Oh, straight on the Pack 40. Interesting. That. It's not quite reactive enough then, rather within Luvnest's cone of attention, if you will. Not entirely sure that was worth it. I think all BARs and bazookas as men would have overall done a lot more for Paul there. At least he's not throwing away his third M10 there. Luvnest could go for Stu, goes soon for an Austrian if he wants to. A bit of added anti-infantry would I suppose be good there versus Paul's 1950 cover up the Grenadiers, breaking them down with heavy fire.
A capture point is under attack. Vehicle ready. Crew set.
Still control the map, although victory point wise, Paul is in a bit of a risky situation there. Needs to hold it no matter the cost, can't afford any greater losses. Trying to crush there. Ah! Almost got Wilhelm, but Wilhelm was faster. Somehow. But again, now we see Paul's the one now sort of rather scattered. Panthers holding the assault into the town centre. got the M10 moving up from is this Pack 40 ready to support the Panzer 4, and there you go, M10 gets a good hit. Panzerkampfwagen, needs to put back the M10 soon enough. There we go, another pension. We've got Veterans 1 there. Which does open up for HVAC with shells. Popping up the crew. Captain flanking, they're going to get some shots there from the sidearm, or at least attempt to. Forces Schützen. There we go. Cafe Patent Special. Panzer going to do though, counter-attacking, pushing through the cafe.
He's losing his goddamn marbles.
50 caliber covering there from the back garden.
Krauts are taking one of our points.
Rather than getting M10 moving ahead, Veteran 2-1. Straight to the Pack 40s again. Oh, quite seem to think that one through. At the same time, got Osman here attacking on the eastern flank. Tearing into the lieutenant there. Charging forward, need to be careful there. We got trooping from the back, forward, push back. We've got another M10 out there. Bullets flying out from the church, pan for the 10 hits from bazookas. Anti-tank rifle grenade there, really going to try and get it. Osman though flanking in from behind, another anti-tank weapons nearby, no anti-tank guns for example. Rather than taking hits from the Panther force, counter-attacks. Paul's men are getting absolutely gunned down here in the 10s up and down. Of them 10 moving up, much around flanking the Osman, take it out. He's going on a hunt here, blitzing past everything else to try and get that wounded Panther 4, but again, the Pack 40s, Paul. No.
We lost a gun crew.
He got it, but he lost an M10. I mean, obviously the M10 costs less than the Panzer 4, but the problem is Paul's economic situation does not allow him to make for such a trade. He should rather have just, allowed it to be just out of the game for some time than trying to focus on some of the other armor instead. His place is just being punched through here by Luvnest. Straight to the bazookas here though. Almost got the ambulance, but he might. Oh, lost the Ostwind. Small victory here for Paul. Small, but the front is now completely denuded. There's only a single 50 caliber covering one victory point. The rest is as
Rear echelon squad ready for action.
open as northern France.
A capture point is being overrun.
And that Panzer 4 can swiftly deal with the 50 caliber without much issue. In fact, it's very close to it, 2-3 there, and becoming a Panzer 4 ace. A hero of Germany. Captain moving up. There we go, a few hits on the Panzer 4 vehicle moving up as well. A lot of bazookas, there we go. Several men dead, possibly including the captain. No, the captain survived that encounter. There we go, more Veteran 3 Panzer Grenadier, rifling in a pretty bad position, quickly gunned down there by expert fire. And there we go, Veteran 3 for the Panzer 4, increased mobility and increased range fire. A lot of bazookas there, some penetrate, some do not. More bazookas flying. S-mine, so nice position there by Luvnest, missed that one. So did Paul. Almost getting that Panzer 4, low on health. And there you go, blitzing away, not going to risk it. Pioneers counter-attacking. Finally got some vehicle crews there, or re-echelons from bazookas as well. 50 cover, slightly turning things around there again. Veteran 2-3. That Panzer 4 certainly has seen better days. Then again, it weren't an H-back in those days. Lieutenant hiding here in a pretty precarious situation. Panzer going to be hanging about there. More troops swinging from the north. First infantry that's taking heavy casualties here. Victory point's not looking good either. He'll probably go for another M10. And obviously Luvnest is bringing out a lot of MD-42s here to just control. Ah, Captain Mike by the S-mines. Do not take those things lightly. And there you go, M10 arrives. 50 cover coming the western one. Panzer going to be falling back here in the face of the lieutenant with the machine guns. There you go, going to be assaulted by the 5th caliber in the west. Why does mine actually just go off somewhere? Because it sounded like it. Goes all the way. Tim clears that Sam. Spot some Panzer Grenadiers. Some easy. Oh no! They were true heroes, yet were crushed like insects. Wasn't very heroic the way they died. There you go, Panzer Roller blitzing forward, ready to gain vengeance. Rockets flying out of Pack 46, item 10 under fire. And we got target weak point there. Luvnest wants vengeance. Except the Pack crew can't deliver. Still holding on here. Canadians out in the open versus the rifle. They're about to get wiped. Oh dear. Nope, makes it past the tree then. Gets into safety. Pack 46 item 10 needs to fall back. Lieutenant continue to hold out there. Restaurant, which is about to collapse terribly. Need to fall back, need to fall back. Can't withstand much more fire. Stand scattered. Ten pointing back towards the base as well, alongside the remnants of Paul's infantry force. And with that, he surrenders. His force broken by the Panzerlehr and its aggressive German tactics. Well played there by Luvnest. Paul again, I think rather miscalculated. I think came off wrong there in the early game, which rather I think gave Luvnest some strong advantage there. He managed to come around the centre there. The problem is Paul just kept forgetting about the Pack 40s when he charged his M10s, and he kept losing them that way. Had he just been a bit more patient, a bit smarter there, he probably could have gotten the Panzer Force without throwing away, M10s. There were several times that Paul basically sort of fouled up there, doing his attacks, allowing, Luvnest just to turn things around and do a lot of damage there. So in that sense, and Paul, had more BRs and bazookas early on. I think he also got a lot more damage there versus Luvnest as well. I mean, it was close at times. They really could have turned the game around, but the problem was though just these small tactical issues which Luvnest quickly, took advantage of and turned against Paul. That rather, denied Paul ultimately the chance of victory there. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match. I hope you learned something from it. I hope it gives you different matches. If it did, want to subscribe, tell a friend, share it with everyone. If not, send a replay and some feedback in the comment section. If this is Imperial Link, cheers. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye.